All right, everybody. It's here. It's 9:44, and wish you a happy good morning. All right, we'll let some more folks hop on here. I know we've got quite a few eyeballs and people asking what's going on, so I'm going to give this thing just a second to spin up. I will tell you, the tornado warning is going to impact folks up into northeastern Smith County. This is going to be for a storm near Winona right now, so we'll start kind of dialing in on this thing here and allow a few more people to hop in. I was completely out of position for this. I don't mind telling you. We were out doing some walkthrough for the property, and I heard the sirens in Tyler going off, and I'm thinking, what in the heck is going on? So the sirens went off prior to the warning even coming out, and the radar presentation wasn't terribly good to start with. So there's just kind of a lot of folks trying to grab a handle on exactly what's going on here. But I can tell you the strongest of this storm is right now near Winona. Let's put this into velocity mode. It's not the best looking presentation that you would hope to see, but it is nonetheless has produced what looks like at least some type of a funnel back over the Cascades area near Bellwood Lake on the west side of Tyler as this thing came across. I saw the storm this morning when I was heading to work, and it didn't look all that impressive. But if I can get a couple of pictures up here for you from the Stretford Tower, you'll see why the warning was issued. But again, let's talk to the folks who are in the immediate path of this right now. So the warning itself is not going to affect the city of Tyler from this point on. This is going to be north and east of Tyler, so I do want to let you know that for sure. We've got the storm near Winona, and so folks, the Big Sandy area, be mindful of this thing coming up kind of out of the southwest towards you guys. Again, it doesn't have that classic presentation where you would expect to see a lot of shear, a lot of opposing winds in close proximity, but it is low enough in the sky to where I think this thing is getting shot over I think it's being shot over the top of itself by the radar out of Shreveport, and so they're just not picking it up really well. And again, the problem that we have here in Smith County is the proximity to the Shreveport radar to the east and the Fort Worth radar to the west. And as that beam goes up, it gets higher and higher and higher in the atmosphere, so that there's a certain point where you're shooting over a lot of the stuff down there at the immediate cloud base. So I know I've got a lot of folks who are concerned. Gladewater, you guys are you're going to need to keep an eye on this thing. It's probably going to pass just to the south, just to the west of you guys in Gladewater. City of Tyler, you're fine. Even the northeast part of town, this thing continues to scoot off to the northeast. Okay, but our main area of concern is I'd say, going to be probably in this area near Winona. From best as I can tell, from the muddy radar returns and the like. But we do want to maintain that position of safety here for the next little bit. But I do know folks in Tyler, when the sirens went off, like you guys were, I was kind of taken back by it for just a second. But they did the right thing, especially in light of the situation that was developing on the ground. So I'm trying to fly this thing very unprepared, so forgive me for a minute as I try to make a few adjustments here on some things so I can see a little bit better as to what's going on. But again, the warning itself will go until, let's see here, until 10:15 for Smith County. Main area of concern is going to be northeast to Tyler, Winona, back up into southwestern parts of Upshur County. Pull this off and let's put this thing into rotation. I'll put this into motion here for you. So you can see there the heart of the storm there, north and near Winona and back northeast of Winona. So this thing should pass just to the west of Gladewater, and we'll continue scooting up towards Big Sandy. Folks between Big Sandy and Gladewater, though, you need to be in your safe spot and ready for this thing. It's as I said, it's not presenting terribly well, so it's likely, if anything, is still ongoing. It's not large, but again, that's it doesn't take a whole lot of wind, especially in a situation like we're in now, where all the soil is just so waterlogged. Excuse me. It doesn't take much to pull some trees down, and that's a big concern, obviously, for me in this kind of a situation. So thanks to all you guys who are hopping on here, seeing a lot of comments, and I do appreciate that. I'm trying to set up something here where I can see that stuff a little bit better. So just give me a sec here. Thanks, Tal. Appreciate that. All right, let's see here. I'm going to see if I can pull one of these pictures up here in just a second. Yeah, no problem, Carla. To give you an idea as to what the size of this thing looked like earlier, and there we go. I think this is going to translate. This is taken from the top of the Stretford Tower over there at the Cascades. And if you see this right here, this lowering, I think that's one of the things, that's the best, some of the best, at least still shot I've seen of this thing. Again, this storm ran right across western Smith County, right across western Tyler, here about 35 minutes ago. And so when it came across, there was already a lowering there, and that showed up pretty well in this next shot also. See that there? See this little condensation, little funnel right there? So, the Stretford Tower is back here. We're shooting from it, looking back off to kind of the west-northwest. So I think that's the lowering that's caused all this, and then that just continued to push to the northeast. I believe a law enforcement officer saw it and alerted the Weather Service, and I think that is what set everything into motion. And then we have confirmation of this that was going on back to the southwest. That also helps to give some credence to what's going on. So again, it's not a huge wedge, but doesn't take much. Like I said, we've had a number of people who have died over the last couple of years when just a tree fell on a house. So the tornado itself, maybe brought a tree down, but those types of things. It doesn't take a whole lot to cause damage if it's in the exact right spot. So, again, this was taken within the last hour or so. If you're in Tyler, you're fine. This thing's moving off to the northeast, and so we're going to be a-okay as far as that's concerned. Folks north of Winona now, I think Winona, you guys are okay. If I'm north and northeast of Winona, up towards Big Sandy, let's keep ourselves in our safe spot here for the next couple minutes if we can. I think the Weather Service is going to, I think they're fixing to reissue something else as well. So let me do a couple things here and we'll monitor this. Let's see. All right, so this is a new tornado warning. Okay. All right, so this is a new tornado warning for central Cherokee County now. So this is a storm that's near Rusk. So that's a new tornado warning for central Cherokee County now. Central Cherokee County will run with that the storm near Rusk, and that's going to run at least until probably close to 11 o'clock. So let's pull this up. And I think, yeah, William, I saw that video. Thank you, bud. I'm going to try to use that here in the next little bit. So I do appreciate that. Thank you for sending that along. All right, so here's the storm that's southwest of Rusk right now. We've got what looks like some rotation in there, at least some good embedded wind right here on the southwest side of Rusk. So this is Highway 69, and so this thing is going to continue scooting. It's going to come right across the city of Rusk and across Highway 69 there. So folks in Rusk in that central part of Cherokee County, let's hop into our safe spot right now. Size on this thing, I don't know, but the environment today didn't necessarily feel so much like a tornadic environment. But that just goes to show you there are some of those days that'll come up and sneak up on you. So tornado warning now for folks. This will be south of Jacksonville, southwest side of Rusk, and going right through, I think, through the heart of the city of Rusk here shortly. Here's a loop kind of showing you that. It may pass the heart of the storm. The best rotation is probably going to pass maybe just south of Rusk, but it's awful close. So I would take those tornado precautions in that southern, from downtown Rusk back to the south, especially. So there's our best rotation right now. No problem, Celia. Glad you're there. Thanks, Kelly. Sarah, the Rusk storm heading not up towards Jacksonville. No, ma'am. This is going to be going more just on the southwest side of Rusk. So it's probably going to be taking more of a. Yeah, there's the latest scan that the lightning's picked up in this thing as well, which can be an indication that you've got a storm that's definitely picking up in intensity. And oftentimes we will see a spike in that lightning production right before tornadic production occurs. So here's the area of concern right here, southwest side of Rusk. If I'm in Rusk, from downtown Rusk back to the south especially, let's stay in that safe spot there. Southwest side of Rusk is where the greatest concern is going to be right now. So again, that's new tornado warning. For folks there, especially in the city of Rusk. This will be south of Jacksonville, south of New Summerfield. Folks in the Reclaw area back, downstream, you need to be keeping an eye on this thing as well. And let's just kind of keep our heads about us here for a little bit while we get some of this stuff out of the way. But again, that's another area of concern. There's going to be that part of Cherokee County, and then as we pull back out, remember that we've got the storm up into far northeastern Smith County. This is the one that kind of started the show off here, and this thing is now well north and east of Winona. The tornado warning itself officially is going to run for Smith County. I think it's until 10:15, but the concern, at least for Tyler and for Winona, will be over with here shortly. Folks in downtown Winona, you're okay. Northeast of Winona, let's keep our heads up here for just a little bit longer to see how this is going to transpire. The Cherokee County tornado warning goes until 10:15, so it's the same expiration time as the Smith one, but there's two different storms there involved. But again, the city of Tyler, folks who may be hopping on trying to figure out what's going on with the sirens and whatnot, those sirens were sounded because of a law enforcement officer on the northeast side of town, I believe, reported something, and then this was seen near right there at Cascades at Lake Bellwood. If you're familiar with that area, the old Briarwood Golf Course, that's Bellwood Lake that I think this bit is developing over, and this is the same storm that brought that, and I think it eventually developed into the tornado that was seen a little bit later on. There's another shot of it just a couple seconds later. So it all makes sense. It's just tough that you're not able to see this stuff better on the radar. So it's a common problem that we've talked about here for a long time, as long as I've been around watching the stuff at least. Here's the rest of the radar. We've got much more organized, at least a more solid line of showers and thunderstorms, which is moving into Smith County right now. And there's a nice little bow echo there near Lindale. So that's something that could be indicative of a little bit of additional wind in there. Notice how this thing is trying to kind of bow out a little bit there, just east side of Lindale right now. So could be some additional wind potential in that, as well as the tornado concern. Looks like the Weather Service has pulled the warning, though, the tornado warning. Let's see here. Canceling the warning for Smith County, will not extend it northeast.
It's 10 hours.
Issuing on an advisory for gusty 40 to 45 winds coming into Tyler. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So they're going to go significant weather advisory for Smith County. They've canceled the tornado warning, but this is why they're going to go with that, have that wind concern. Again, we see these little bumps along the line like this. There's one, comes back. There's another one, kind of comes back. We can get little spin ups in these little pockets too. So, these are areas. This one due west of Tyler. That's an area to kind of keep an eye out on for any kind of potential spin ups. We've obviously got an environment in place that can do that. So nothing there right now, but just something to be mindful of. But winds of 40 to 45 miles an hour when this line does come through Tyler. And that's going to probably spook a lot of people because they heard the sirens here just a few minutes ago. So just keep that in mind as the rain does start to come through. And there'll be some lightning along with that as well. Here's again the only tornado warned storm that we have right now is the one down here north side of Rusk. Down central Rusk, central parts of Rusk, and then back up north and east. The velocity product still shows pretty good wind in here, honestly. So that's something that we're going to want to be aware of. Radar is really high by the time it gets to this point over Cherokee County, but seeing some 60 to 70 mile an hour winds potentially in there. Now, not all that's going to make it to the ground, but that's still enough to pull some trees over, especially in an environment like we have now where the soil is just so saturated. So even if we don't have a tornado in this area, we do have the potential to do some good straight line wind concerns in that. And then we have some pixelation here, something new scan coming in showing what could be some better, even more sustained winds there on the north side of Rusk. So we need to be in that safe spot there, in and around Rusk here for the next 10-15 minutes. Let's be sure we are on our guard here for now. That new scan does show some impressive wind. But as I said just a second ago, by the time the radar beam gets to this point over East Texas, it's pretty high up in the air. So what we're seeing here is not necessarily going to be able to translate all the way down to the ground. But it doesn't matter. If it's blowing strong enough to pull down a tree on your house or wherever you're at, that's plenty of trouble. All right, let's do some safety rules real quick for when it comes to tornadoes. These are just some good things to keep in mind. Centermost part of the house or the building that you're in, lowest floor of the structure that you're in as well. You want to use a small interior room or a closet. Those are good, usually better, more reinforced areas. Bathtubs are good. Grab a blanket and throw it over the top of you, maybe the comforter off of the bed, something like that. Those make good spots to grab into. When we talk to kids at schools, a lot of times I tell them just to hop in the bathtub, and when you hop in the bathtub, you've got 4 walls. Got walls on each side of you. You throw that blanket on top of you, you've got yourself a little bit of extra coverage on top of that. All right, so my friend Ross Hayes is down at the Palestine Balloon Station, and he said they had a gust of 50 knots at the base here back at about 9:15. So that would get you up close to severe weather criteria with that. And again, avoid windows if you're in this area now on the north and east side, east northeast side of Rusk. This will be along Highway 69 and especially just east of 69, heading up northeast. So we will go over a couple of more of these thoughts. You want to avoid large rooms, big open rooms like gymnasiums. School's not in session right now for a lot of places, so we're not doing as much with school. Most of the kids are at home or at some kind of other structured activity. So let's be mindful of that, though. Still, if you do happen to have some kiddos in this area, north and east side of Rusk right now, vehicles are never a good option ever. So keep that in mind as well. Mobile homes, we want to hop out of those, and it's always good to have a plan ahead of time on days, even when something sneaks up on you, to know where you're going to go if something like this were to occur. So we don't like mobile homes because they just don't fare well in high wind situations, especially those situations. Shoes, always want to have our shoes on in a severe weather situation. We got to be able to be mobile, and usually if there's something big going on, there's probably things that are broken around you, glass, wood, things of that nature, and that's never good to step on without some shoes. So just do keep that in mind as well. Interior hall closets separated, but next to the furnace or the water heater. Yeah, interior closets here, I like those. I really do. That's just a good spot to get to. If it's in the interior part of the house, the idea is you want to put as much distance between you and the danger as possible. And since the danger is outside, let's put as much distance between us and the outside as we can. Okay, so good question there. Let's hop back to radar. Here's what's going on with the storm right now. It doesn't look quite as intense. At least the winds don't look quite as intense as they were 2 or 3 scans ago from this storm. But we're east of Rusk now. Heading up, making a nice northeast jog, and outside of at least the heart of that population center in Rusk. So that's a good thing there. All right. So we're going to run here, this thing, the center of it, right along 84, east of 69 now. And as we do so, that's going to put folks in rec law, kind of under the gun for this thing if it continues on this track and at this intensity. So if you guys are with us between Rusk and rec law along 84, let's be ready to button it down here pretty quickly. This will pass south of New Summerfield, and as we've talked about here for the last little bit, this is well south of Jacksonville. But the storm seems to be presenting a little bit more characteristic of what you would expect to see. So it has some of the look on radar that you might expect. Nothing though that's screaming really from some of these other Doppler products that we look at. Doesn't mean there's not something going on there. So we want to take the precautions and just act like it is. It's a 10:07. Rain is coming down in Tyler now. I'm at the real estate office, which is on Old Jacksonville. We're about a mile inside the loop, and I've got a weather station across the street that I can keep an eye on here inside my office. And winds just starting to pick up a little bit here. The rain's coming down, though, pretty heavy right now. So nothing crazy on the wind, at least from my vantage point here. But it does help to let folks know that we got some pretty good rain that's going to be coming into the city of Tyler here, is doing so right now. So no warnings out for Tyler, no warnings out for Smith County. The only warning we have around the area is in Cherokee County for that tornado warning. But with the rain coming in and the sirens having turned on earlier, a lot of folks are probably a little spooked. Still some hefty lighting there near Gladewater, up into south central parts of Upshur County there, just north of Gilmer. North of Gladewater and south of Gilmer. lot of this is going to miss Gregg County, at least this particular storm that we've been talking about. Auburn, where are you? You said you just heard a big crack of thunder. I tell you, that thunder and lightning we had on Sunday was some of the most impressive stuff that I have personally seen in a long time. And that was a spooky situation there. So I get it. That thunder can really grab your attention. Heaviest of the rain in Tyler, and the wind's starting to pick up here too, it looks like. Yeah, the heaviest of the rain right now, northwest part of the city of Tyler, out near the airport. And again, that's nothing unprecedented, but it is New Harmony. Okay, yeah, I'm not surprised. I think I see the lightning strike that caused that right there, Auburn. So we got moderate to heavy rain, heaviest stuff now inside the Loop 323 on the north side of Tyler, and this stuff will continue to scoot to the east. It's moving pretty rapidly. So the main concern is going to be for some wind on the leading edge of this thing, and some moderate to heavy rainfall. But the fact that it's moving, at least the heaviest of it is moving faster, does help to hopefully negate some of the flash flood concerns that we've had. But again, Chapel Hill, you're up next. White House, it's just knocking on your door. And Jacksonville, you are up to bat as well. So storms are coming into the west side of the city of Jacksonville right now. All right. I think we're going to have another tornado warning issued for this same storm. Notice how it's starting to look, or it continues to look, a little bit more reminiscent of something that's got some decent rotation with it. And what I'm talking about, you kind of see how this thing just kind of has that little notch on the south end of it like that. So what you're seeing the radar pick up where that little mesocyclone is at right there. So it's all kind of rotating. It's trying to rotate around, and that's what's bringing the rain return back to the south like that. So it rotates just like a little mini area of low pressure, and so that presentation on radar is a good signal that something's going on potentially. But you have to, we need the ground truth from folks who know what they're looking at, from spotters, and people who can identify what it is that they're seeing. There's a lot of rain out there, so this thing you get wrapped up pretty quick, and so it's really hard to tell what it is that you're actually looking at. So let's get back onto the velocity. And see what we got here. Yeah, so this area right in here, right along 84. Right along 84, heading up towards Reclaw. This is going to be where our main area of concern is. And the Weather Service is hitting the sirens now. Tornado warning for Cherokee County. So this will be northeastern Cherokee County and probably southwestern Rusk County. And they may throw Nacogdoches County in there too, extreme northern Nacogdoches County. Let's see. Yeah, so they're going to go southwestern Rusk County and east central Cherokee County until 10:45. Storm capable of a tornado near Ponte or near Rusk, moving northeast at 25. So this thing's going northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So let's see here. So that's new tornado warning now. That's going to run until 10:45. Northeast of Rusk. So we're along 84, folks. Reclaw in that area. Let's see here. So there's our new tornado warning. So that's an extension basically of the one that we've been watching here for the last little bit. So that'll scoot up into southwestern Rusk County, folks west of Mount Enterprise, southeast of Henderson. That's going to be the area that we're going to have to keep the closest eye on here for the next 30 to 45 minutes, I think, and then hopefully by that point we've got most of this handled. But we're talking. Let's see here, this area. So we're west of Mount Enterprise. So we're talking Glen Fawn, Anadarko, New Salem area. Just those general spots there that are small in population but important in souls nonetheless. So let's keep that area in mind here for the next little bit. The cause of all this is back here, just southwest of Reclaw right now. So if you're in Reclaw, you need to be in your safe spot right now. Okay, let's not wait around for anything else. We've got some pretty good lightning out of this thing. I don't see much in the way of hail. It doesn't look like it's producing much hail, but it is definitely giving some signals that it has rotation within it. And if we've got eyes on the ground down there, I'd love to see what's going on there, just downtown Reclaw. And once this thing gets over into Rusk County, I can tell you they have a heck of an emergency management operation there in Rusk County, and spotters and folks who do this a lot. So we'll have some pretty good eyes on the situation as well as it gets further northeast and into that piece of Rusk County. So it's 10:16 right now. We've got tornado warning for this particular storm. This is the only storm that is caused a warning, at least for the time being. So that's going to be extreme northeastern Cherokee County, or let's not say eastern Cherokee County and southwestern Rusk County. So that will run until 10:45, I think it is. So there's that storm. The heaviest of the rain, the leading edge of this line now is through the city of Tyler and continues to scoot off to the east. So, it doesn't seem to be bowing quite as much, quite as pronounced in spots as it was earlier. Although there is a nice little bulge there, just east of Tyler, out near Chapel Hill. So that could be a sign of some decent wind trying to scoot out on the leading edge there. And this little notch back here south of Jacksonville, and probably some additional pretty good wind, which is going to blow into Rusk. So this is all, now that the tornado, that single storm has passed, you got all of this, which is going to be blowing in behind it. So I would imagine folks in Rusk will be a bit concerned about that, but I don't see anything indicating rotation in the line itself. It's just these individuals that are going out ahead of it, which is where the problem could be at. Yeah, so Rach, here's what's going on, Tyler. Nothing severe, just moderate to heavy rainfall. And I mean, the rainfall, we only had about 1,500s here at the office since this all started, so we're not exactly getting deluged, at least on the south side of town. Heavier rain is going to be up on the north side of town. Looks like up between Tyler and UT Health Center, I think. So let's see here.
Looking out the window, and it's raining pretty hard over here, and looks like the wind's blowing pretty hard through the trees.
Okay, we have had some potential, maybe some kind of a touchdown there. Weather Service is saying out along 84 near Reclaw. They had a report of that here just a little bit ago. So it's not surprising if it did happen with what we're seeing on the radar. Thing still presents pretty well. But the storm itself over the city of Reclaw right now. Let's keep ourselves in our safe spot here for about the next 15 minutes or so, and then this will be out of your area and over into Russ County. So, folks in Russ County, I want you to be ready to take those tornado precautions. This is up along 84 going into Russ County. This will be west of Mount Enterprise, well southwest of Henderson. Uh, but the storm itself should pass. If it continues on its current path, it should pass south of Henderson. You're welcome, Rach. Glad to help out. If anybody is with us in Reclaw or has some folks down in that area, I'd love to know what you're seeing or what they are seeing. So feel free to throw it in the comments section if you don't mind. And I think I've got this where I can set up to see that now. Set this up here real fast too while we're at it. Here's a little bit of thunder here in town too. So Mark's headed that way. Leanne, okay. Good to know. Old Mark Cotton. Mark does a lot of chasing out of the Palestine area. So if he's headed towards this Reclaw storm, that's good to know. Only warning we have again is this storm here about to exit out of Cherokee County and get into southwestern Russ County. You can see the line coming up behind it here, moving along pretty well, and very well may catch up to this and disrupt some of what's going on in this stuff because the line's moving pretty quick. You can see how it's starting to catch up there near Rusk and closing in pretty fast. Pretty common noonday, Ruthie. Yeah, just some showers. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Glad to help out. Thanks, Pauline. Appreciate the kind words. So Tyler, we're going to start to calm this thing down here pretty fast. Winona, you've got moderate to heavy rainfall, which is moving in as we speak. White House, the heaviest of it is now just really almost through you guys. So we'll push this thing over towards Troop and Arp and Overton and into Kilgore and Liberty City here pretty quick. The further to the south, Rusk area, you got some pretty hefty rain coming in and probably a little bit of wind with that as well, maybe 30 to 35 miles an hour. And then further south of that, just some light showers there passing north of Alto, but that stuff seems to be dissipating. That's a nice looking storm though near Henderson right now, just north of the Warren storm, but could be a little bit of wind right here on the west side of Henderson. That'll be 64 coming into Henderson. Nothing tornadic, at least at the moment. So we'll continue to walk this thing out of Cherokee County. Of course, there's New Summerfield, Gallatin, Reclaw. You're at the kind of at the center of this thing right now. So we did have a storm report then of that tornado there along 84 that just pops in. Thanks, Jeff. That just popped in 911 center got a touchdown along 84 west of Reclaw. So that was called in at 10:10, so about 15 minutes or so ago. So that's what this little skit here, just to kind of indicate that there was a local storm report that came in not too long ago. So, it all lines up. Yeah, Rosanna, it didn't feel so much like a tornadic day per se. There wasn't a ton of wind the time of day too. You don't see a ton of stuff during the morning around our parts. Usually if we're dealing with this stuff, we're doing it after lunch or into the late afternoon or the evening. No tornado watch box. Um, Hardly even outlined by SPC for severe weather potential today. So, and the parameters didn't really seem like they were all there for this. But it just goes to show you can have it any time, and it's another great reminder of why we need to be aware of what's going on around us. So, like I said, if you just hopped on here, I was out looking at property, and all of a sudden I walk outside and I hear the sirens going off in Tyler, and I'm thinking, what is going on? So, I'm with you. It's one of those days. Um, so again, that's just a good little reminder of what we can deal with at any particular point on the calendar. So again, folks, Reclaw, this thing is the most impressive part of this is now into, I would say, right there along, kind of straddling the Cherokee and Rusk County line right now. We'll look at some of this wind here real fast. So what we're looking at is the wind. The radar beam is pretty high up in the atmosphere by the time it gets this far to the west out of the Shreveport office. But radar estimating 60 to close to 65 mile an hour winds potentially. And we've had reports of something touching down on the west side of Reclaw, southwest of Reclaw. So we will operate from that point until we see otherwise that the danger has cleared. So we're just going to kind of hang here and walk you through this. Haven't had a ton of Facebook Live stuff this year. Weather, we've had a couple of severe weather events, but haven't done too much of this in a while. So thanks, Richard. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, Kerry, this will be the only bigger system of the day. So, once these things pass through, that should be, I think that's going to be just about it for us. But again, you can kind of make out here, we're looking at the winds from the radar and the general reflectivity on the left-hand side. So it kind of can get a little bit confusing. But I like to just kind of keep a little eye on what's going on. A lot of spotters. These little red dots here show you where weather spotters are at. And a lot of folks who have their who are involved with the spotter network who are back up here near Henderson, but I'm not seeing much in the way of people who are down here near this Reclaw storm. But some decent lightning there. Reclaw, the city proper, give yourself another couple minutes. This radar data is a couple minutes old to start with, so the timestamp on it's 10:26. It's almost 10:30. But let's give it just a couple more minutes, and then we'll be okay. Mary Leanne, thanks. Praying for sunshine, Ruthie. Yeah, well, you have a lot of it here coming tomorrow. It's going to be sticky. I was as I posted this morning in my daily weather. I've been waiting on the hammer to drop on the humidity. That June typical East Texas kind of thing that we've been kind of waiting on, and I think it dropped on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, I walked out and I thought, yeah, we're here. So, and we're going to be here for quite a while as far as that goes. And those of you who've been around here for a while know what I'm talking about. So again, as far as current radar is concerned and the progress of this heavier rain, we've got it from the heaviest stuff, Hawkins, back to just east of Winona now. well east of Tyler. Rain should letting up here quickly, at least in the city. But this leading band is going to be the stuff that we'll watch um, for the heaviest of the rain and the best of the wind potential. But anything out here, you'll hear us talk too a lot about individual storms that can fire up ahead of a line. You'll hear that bandied about from time to time, and it is the individual storms. These guys that can get out here by themselves and they can ingest freely um, the moisture that's coming in off the Gulf. And they have an environment that is completely free of obstruction. They don't have to share stuff. These storms along this line, they all have to share the energy with the ones next to them. But these little guys out here that can get going ahead of a line, they're in a little bit better, a bit freer place to grow. And so that's why a lot of times we'll see this kind of stuff pop up. These rogue guys out ahead of the main line in big severe weather situations. And this is just another good example of that today. Let's see here. All right, here comes another warning. I wonder if this is going to be just north. Let's let's wait and see. We'll hear it. All right, so they're going to start doing a broad brush severe thunderstorm warning for this line, it looks like. Yeah. So you're going to see a pretty large severe thunderstorm warning coming for Cherokee County um, along this line here. And we talked about this a few minutes ago. See how, let's see here. See how this line is starting to, these little ditches, but notice right here where this line is kind of starting to bow out a little bit. I think that could be showing a little bit more wind potential in that, and so they're going to go ahead and just cover the bases and let's we'll keep that severe thunderstorm warning in place. This will be severe thunderstorm, not tornado warning, but the fact that it's coming through, it's going to go right through rec law, which just is for all intents and purposes out of the tornado concern, but just recently. So that's going to be unnerving. So folks there in that part of Cherokee County there near rec law, just be mindful that this is straight line of winds and not a tornado warning. And then you can see the Weather Service just trimmed out that and pulled Cherokee County out of the warning, and now the warning only involves folks in Rusk County for the time being. So pull this off here. So here we are over southwestern Rusk County, still running along 84, north and east of Reclaw. It's pretty, some decent wind in there. This thing is never presented like some of the bigger tornadoes, like they say, for the instance, the Alto tornadoes from a couple years ago, or Canton or Van. It is never really presented like that. But so the strength on the thing, you don't want to undersell it, but I don't think we're going to be dealing with something that's along that magnitude. But still, doesn't take much wind to pull a tree onto a house or onto a car. We've had fatalities already this year. I believe it was over in Panola County from a tree that fell and killed some folks during a tornado. That long track tornado that we watched that went through Mount Enterprise a couple months ago. So we have to be we have to still be vigilant, even on a day when it's probably not going to be what some people would consider a significant tornado, but they're all capable of hurting folks and killing folks. So we want to be sure that we take our precautions regardless. Glad you're here, Melanie. Thanks for watching. Raining there in Laneville, Lisa. I got you covered. Yeah, I bet it is. We've had it's one of those mornings where anytime you've had the sirens go off, yeah, anything that happens after that, especially quickly thereafter, can be awfully spooky. So I totally get that. Hey, thanks, Carol. Appreciate you being here. Um, so I get it. It is a little bit gets a little bit spooky. Thank you, Bob. Thanks so much for being a part of the page. So at least we're clear for Reclaw from the tornado concerns. Doesn't take much to do something in this environment today, as we've seen. So even though we don't have the strongest of returns on the radar, we want to take every piece of it that we get and do what we can to be mindful of it. Okay. Had some trees fall across 64 earlier, Brooke. Okay, thanks for that, Brooke. Are you 64? Talking 64 near Henderson, or 64 on the west side of Tyler? Just let me know where you're talking about there, if you don't mind. Getting some lightning, Lisa. Okay, good. Erica, this stuff is all heading to the east. Um, these individual storms are going a little bit more northeast, but the line that's moving in is doing so kind of in more of a due east direction. So we'll pull out and show you that. I'll tell you what, we'll do that too, just to give people a little bit better idea. The yellow box again is a new severe thunderstorm warning, so that's going to be a concern for straight line winds, 60 to 65 mile an hour winds potentially in that. So that'll be from just the biggest of the wind concern is going to be right here on the leading edge of this line. Okay, back in here, winds will have let up significantly, but it's going to be what happens right along this leading edge that's going to be the best severe weather producer potentially. 31 between Tyler and Longview. Okay, thanks, Christina. Oh, you're asking. 31 between Tyler and Longview. I mean, you got some moderate to some pretty strong wind on that side. Maybe I would expect 35 to maybe 40, 45 mile an hour winds along 31. They're going to be just kind of blowing in from west to east. Okay, so this will be hitting into Kilgore here, folks on the west side of Kilgore. No warnings out for you guys, but be ready for things to pick up, at least as far as the wind is concerned here shortly. But like I said, you get back into this area, a couple miles behind the line itself. Let's see here. Let me use that. So you get a couple of miles back behind this leading edge, and the winds will subside a lot, and the rain will too, for that matter. But it's this little pocket right on the leading edge that we want to be most aware of for strong straight line winds. This little blue box here, I think the Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has probably put some kind of a discussion in place. They may be considering a watch box. That's typically what they do. West side of Tyler. Okay, a few miles down before you hit 314. Okay, thanks for that, Brooke. Okay, 20% probability of a watch. So they're not going to issue a watch for our area. So that's good to know. sometimes they do that to tell you what they're not going to do as much as what they are thinking about doing. So that's good. Carry 69 from Bullard to Rusk. I think you're fine in the next, 10, 15 minutes. I mean, shoot, if you leave Bullard now, the worst of this is really done with by the time you get to Bullard. I mean, like I said, this leading edge is where we want to be most concerned for straight line wind damage. And this pocket right here into southwestern Rusk County is where we want to be concerned with for anything tornadic potentially. It's still just hanging out there. Yeah, just hanging out there right along 84 like it has been doing for the last half hour. Here's a new scan in. Still holding in that 50 to 60 mile an hour range. So, folks, Mount Enterprise, I know the folks on the west side of Mount Enterprise and Mount Enterprise in general. Lexi and I drove down there to Mount Enterprise was it a month or so back, month and a half or so ago, back when we had the tornado, the long track storm that went from Cherokee County and through Mount Enterprise. That was the storm that continued tracking along and it ended up killing. I know we had at least one fatality because of a tree that fell as a result of the tornado. But this Mount Enterprise area is still trying to clean up from that storm here just a few months back. Yeah, Gail, it'll gust here for a little bit there at Overton, but then it should let up pretty quick. But Mount Enterprise, folks, west side of Mount Enterprise, I want you to be on your guard and kind of in that safe spot if you can here for the next half hour or so, because this thing is continues to present as it has for the last hour. And when it presented like this, back around 10:15, we did have a tornado in progress. So let's be sure we're on our guard, doing the things that we need to do to be prepared for that. And again, we'll look over some of the tornado safety precautions again real fast if you're just now hopping on, or maybe one of your friends or family members told you about the stream here. So if so, I'm glad you stopped by. Centermost part of the building or the structure that you're in, lowest floor. We don't want to be upstairs. Better to be downstairs than upstairs. The structure gets weaker as you move further off of the foundation. All right. Small interior room or a closet. Smaller the room, the more fortification you've got, the lower the ceiling is as well. Bathtubs make good spots. Grab a blanket or a comforter, something like that, something that's thick. The bedspread off the bed and hop in the bathtub if you need to, and pull that over the top. Avoid windows, the weakest part of any structure. I've done school talks for 20 years, and that's the first thing I tell kids is the weakest part of any structure is going to be that glass in that window. So we want to avoid being anywhere near that. We want to avoid those large rooms too, gymnasiums, things like that, auditoriums. A lot of kids right now are out of school, but there are a lot of summer activities that go on, and they use school facilities. And they'll oftentimes use gymnasiums to house kids, especially as we get closer to lunchtime. So let's be mindful of that. If you're in and around Mount Enterprise and you've got some kids in a building that's got somewhat of a larger ceiling on it, there, we want to don't seek shelter under an overpass or a bridge. 20 so years ago, some folks were out shooting something in Kansas, I think it was, and they had a tornado pop up on them, and they ran up underneath a bridge, and they survived it. But the video was so compelling, it got sent out worldwide, and so a lot of folks were led with the misconception that that's a safe place to be. Another warning coming out. All right, this is an extension of the tornado warning for southwestern Rusk County. This is going to go to 11:15. All right, so folks in that Laneville area, um, this Mount Enterprise area, we want to let's go ahead and get back into updating where we are here on this thing. So we've got the new warning, which is going to continue. This will be south of the city of Henderson proper, but the tornado concern will affect a good piece of real estate there. You get south of Henderson, you're talking about Laneville and Anadarko and Glen Fawn and Minden, uh, Branchfield, things like that. So we're going to run this thing right across 259 here in the next little bit. Here's our area of concern, and it's starting to get a little convoluted because there's lines coming into it on the west side. But here's our area of concern right in here would be my best guess on that. Good job, Lisa. That's where you want to be, in that closet or in the bathtub. Something soft around you there. Be sure you got shoes on. Something that people forget sometimes is it's good to keep we want to have some shoes on. If you got a helmet, bike helmet, that's great. Put that on too, and the kids for that matter. If we do have some type of damage that occurs, we got to be mobile, and we've got to we got to protect ourselves. Sometimes we forget things in the heat of the moment like this. So that's why we pass those types of things along to you. But yeah, if you're in the Laneville area, along 84, Anadarko, Glen Fawn, Laneville, let's say I would almost venture to say along and south of 1798, especially, we want to be in that safe spot right now. This thing is going to continue to scoot northeast. The storm itself, the tornadic concern is going to be down here. The general motion on the storm, though, is going to continue kind of like that. Okay. You're on 1798, Lisa? Okay. There's reports of water coming up over 225 north of Laneville, which is in this kind of an environment with as much water as we have in the air. It's not going to take much to pull water over some of these roads, especially when you've got this much rain coming on the backside of this thing too. Yeah, well said, Brooke. Brooke was in the van tornado back, and I think that was Mother's Day of 2015. She said I had no shoes walking on down power lines. Yes, wear shoes. Well said, Brooke. Yeah, well said. That's the kind of thing you don't think of in the midst of all this. You're so busy trying to cover yourself and take care of your kids or your spouse or your animals, and there's a lot of things going on. It's a very disorienting time. So please do, Lisa, keep me up to speed on what's going on, and you guys be safe there in Laneville. We'll be walking you through this as we go along. The tornado warning again. The tornado warning again is going to be for this south central part of Rusk County. This will be folks from really Mount Enterprise, just north of Mount Enterprise. I think this thing very well may just skate north of Mount Enterprise. Um, it's going to be, it'll be too close for comfort, but probably just north of Mount Enterprise and well south of Henderson, by the way. A lot of folks are there. And what we're watching is this little brighter bit of wind return right in here. We got somebody popping up. Who is that? So Michael's right here. Okay, this is Michael Searcy. So Michael is he's right just north of this storm, and Michael knows what he's doing too. So we've got eyes on the storm, on the north side of it at least. Sent Michael a text. Michael's a very good spotter. He does a lot. He and the guys with Rusk County are very well plugged into what's going on, and do a lot to help the community down there. Michael says he's got torrential rain in Laneville right now, and I would believe that. And I think Lisa can attest to that as well. Winds don't look quite as strong in this thing as they did 10, 15 minutes ago. And what I think is happening is, let me pull out and I'll tell you what I think is going on here. If you see how we'll look over here on the left side, see how here's our storm that's causing all the commotion. And then here is this line which is coming in behind it, and I think it's disrupting the inflow into this storm. So the Weather Service is just going to extend that severe thunderstorm warning down further to the east, out of respect for what they're doing back upstream. So the new severe thunderstorm warning now for Harrison County, Panola County. But this line, I think this line is starting to really disrupt this storm's inflow, and so that's probably very well could be what's maybe helping to disrupt this thing. But let's wait and see what happens, because sometimes when boundaries interact with storms, they can help to spur them along initially. I've seen that happen before too, but I would imagine that maybe some of what's going on in here is that this storm is getting undercut by the storms that are rolling in right behind it. So we'll watch and see if that trend continues to hold. But notice how the winds are down compared to where they were. They were running mid 60s. I saw some 70 mile an hour winds here just about a half hour ago. But those numbers are down from where they were, and I think that is because this guy here is edging in and starting to eat away at some of the energy that this thing was running off of by itself, free and clear, just a couple minutes ago. So we'll watch and see what happens there. But again, new severe thunderstorm warning for Harrison, Gregg, Panola, Rusk until 11:45. That'll be for 60 mile an hour winds. And so let's pull this off. Let's pull back out with this and give you updated, kind of an updated look on this deal here. So we've got some hefty rain, so much moisture in the air now. That's a pretty good little bow there too, right near, just right there, kind of intersecting that storm. Notice that bow right there. That's pronounced. It's one of the more pronounced bows that I've seen today. Mid 50s. But notice how the winds back just to the north of that are a little bit weaker. Having to share some energy. Storms don't like to share. They're kind of like people. So I think that may be what's going on. I think this thing edging in from the west is shutting down some of that free flow of fuel that this rogue storm had earlier on. So we're coming up on 11 o'clock. It's 10:56. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being a part of the page. Been on here for, I guess, an hour, a little bit longer since the tornado warning was kicked out for Smith County, and we all kind of stumbled around and tried to figure out what was going on because we had no warning out officially, and we didn't have anything that looked all that impressive on the radar. But we definitely had some impressive things going on down at the ground level. And if you're just now with us, just now joining us, a good friend of mine sent me this is from the top of the Stretford Tower over at the Cascades, and you can make out this little area right in here. I think that's working. That is right over Lake Bellwood, kind of lowering there, and what looks like somewhat of a funnel trying to get itself going. Here's another view of it, a little tighter shot from right over Lake Bellwood. You can see the lake, I think, right there, just over those trees. And so that storm tracked from southwest to northeast across western Tyler, and some law enforcement people saw the funnel on the north side of Tyler, I believe, and that is what led to the warning coming out. And the storm eventually continued to run up in towards Winona and eventually dissipated. And we had some additional ones try to fire up down south towards the Rusk area. So let's see here if I can do this. Let's try to do this. There we are. All right. So, Michael Searcy just sent me this. He's at the Laneville Fire Department, or was earlier, and he's looking at a lot of scud. This is not a tornado per se. There's just some rising scud. He said there near the fire department in Laneville. This is just from a couple of minutes ago, And so there's definitely a lot going on in here. But he did not see anything tornadic, at least here just a couple of minutes ago. But torrential rainfall, he said, and I think the flooding may be as much of a concern in this area with more rain coming in on the backside of this. So let's see here. Let's get back in a little bit tighter and see what this circulation looks like. Let's start just kind of poking around here. It's becoming harder to see much, isn't it? Notice that winds are down. There's
It's 11 hours.
No bright return there on the radar like what you would see or what we did see just a couple of scans ago, which is good. See how we were running much brighter on our winds, stronger on our winds back just, what was that, about 10:45 or so. See how the overall downward trend has been. But we've got some wind here down near Mount Enterprise. Remember what we talked about with that bowing sensation, that bow echo there. See how it looks like it's just kind of pushing out there. And so not surprised to see that stronger wind right in here. So Mount Enterprise, you're going to have some pretty good wind right now, probably there in the Mount Enterprise, because these radar scans are can be a little bit, there's a little bit of a delay there. But there'll be some pretty hefty wind out of the west coming right across 259 there at Mount Enterprise. So don't be surprised by that. And that'll continue to push off towards the west or towards the east. And then we'll see just a lot of heavy rain back behind that initial gust front. But you can see the heavy rain stretches all the way back south. Now it's east of Cushing, into Nacogdoches County. So we'll have some heavy rainfall into northern Nacogdoches County here in the next little bit. We'll get it. Looks like a lot of this may end up missing Lufkin if it continues on that track. So we've got the broad severe thunderstorm warnings, which include Nacogdoches, the city of Nacogdoches proper, so Stephen F., everybody back north into south and western parts of Panola County. This doesn't include Carthage yet, but it probably will. We're going to have some hefty wind in this bow that's running right along 84, and that's going to cut right across into Shelby County. And so folks, Timpson, Tenaha, if it can maintain itself, it's going to be a pretty good little burst of wind. And then, of course, the severe thunderstorm warnings continue for Gregg County. You guys are on the north end of that in Longview, so generally the radar doesn't look quite as pronounced as it did a scan or two back, but still going to be some pretty good wind coming on the west side of Longview here right now. Kilgore, you're in the middle of all that. So further back to the east, folks in Lakeport, Easton, and we'll get Hallsville some rain. Got them some rain right now. We'll have more coming up here just in about 15-20 minutes. But the back end of the rain is quickly moving in from the west. Light to moderate showers there. Back up towards Winsboro and Quitman. But you can tell where the business is on this radar, and it's all running here. The blue and the green on the radar. Evandre, I think there's a lot of stuff going on there, isn't it? I'm sorry. This blue is a discussion from Storm Prediction Center showing an area that they've just kind of highlighted. They put this out earlier just to say that they don't plan on doing a watch box for the area, in spite of the fact that we've got the severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warning in play. Um, and then the green is just lighter rainfall back here to the west. So hopefully that kind of helps to explain a little bit of that. But light rain in Tyler still. I don't even have 2/10 of an inch yet here at the office since all this began. Only tornado warning we have continues for Russ County, and so that'll be running here for another few minutes. You're welcome, ma'am. Thanks for being a part of the page. I appreciate it. So we'll get back in here and see what we're working with. This is the kind of that gust front, that Boeing echo that we saw earlier on. The original tornado warned storm is probably in here. Let's pull out just a little bit so we can see it. See how that line just caught up with that storm and just kind of gobbled it up. So hopefully that's helped to disrupt the circulation. Yeah, the Weather Service is seeing the same thing. They're noticing that circulation looked a lot weaker too back 10 minutes or so ago. It looks like from peeking into the chat room. So that all makes sense. That seems to be the same thing that we were watching here. So that's good news. It still doesn't mean the wind's not going to blow real strong there as this line pushes through, because this bow echo is definitely making itself known. But if you don't have the tornadic component, that's obviously a really, really good thing too. So it's 11:08 almost, and we'll hang out here until the tornado warning expires, and then kind of watch it, and we'll post stuff as we need to as we go through the morning. After this stuff passes through, that will have worked the air over pretty harshly. So I don't think we're going to deal with much else this afternoon. In fact, this may be our last gasp of rain for a little bit. Thanks, Kim. Thanks for watching the page. And then we're going to start to shovel ourselves in towards the 90-degree mark as we get into the latter part of the week. Where's my 7-day at? There it is. So if you're a part of the page regularly, you'll see my daily forecast that we do. Take care of weather duties for my friends in Mineola at 99.9 KMU, and so we do a forecast every day for them during the week, and we'll put a forecast of 7-day up here as well. So shower chances this morning, and then I think we'll be close to 90 tomorrow, and at or above 90 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe even on Sunday. Rain chances are not that strong even going into the latter part of the weekend, but there's still a shot we could see something on Sunday. But the bigger piece of of the forecast is going to become some pretty good sun, and man, it's going to be humid and kind of breezy, fortunately for us, for Thursday through at least Friday, for Wednesday through Thursday into Friday afternoon. So that'll help us out at least somewhat. If it's going to be hot, at least we can have a little bit of breeze to knock some of that stuff around with. So let's see. Yeah, still no tornado reports out of Russ County, which is good and kind of what we expected as this thing continues to kind of become less organized down there. But there's still going to be some pretty good straight line wind potential that, again, is going to exit over into southwestern Panola County and into southeasternmost parts of Russ County and northwestern Shelby County here in the next little bit. The that bow doesn't look quite as strong though as it did earlier. See how much more pronounced it was back before it got through Mount Enterprise, and it looks like it's kind of flattened out just a little bit. So that's good news there. But you always want to keep an eye on these little areas, places like this, where little spin ups can kind of develop right there where these kind of in these little weaker spots along that line. So those are little places to be mindful of in a situation like this. Looks like we had some trees lifted up near Lindsay Park earlier on in Tyler from the storms. And there will be some downed trees in this area, especially this Mount Enterprise area and in the east of there from that wind. Never mind what could have happened from a tornado. And I think the warning itself, went until 11:15. Yeah, so they're going to run that warning out. We got less than 4 minutes to go on the tornado warning, at least officially. And they went ahead and pulled it. So Weather Service has pulled the tornado warning now for Russ County, so that's good. That's kind of what we thought we would, we hoped we'd see, and based on what the radar was showing, I think that's a good move there. So thanks for being a part of what we try to do here. It's kind of a labor of love for me, and a fun way to continue to kind of involve and keep a hand in the weather while we do our real estate stuff as our main driver. But if you have questions or if you're looking for other ways to follow what we're doing, feel free to do that on Twitter or here on Facebook and also on Instagram. It's fun to be able to hop in and help out and continue to kind of contribute. If you have questions or pictures, if you saw something today or you have a friend or a neighbor who saw something earlier today, whether it be from the Tyler storm up to Winona or the stuff out Rusk area, further north and east, please send that stuff along to me. I'd love to be able to share that, and we can obviously pass that stuff along to the Weather Service as well, and be sure that they're in the loop on it, because the more eyes that they have on the ground, the better that they can do their job, and if nothing else, if it doesn't involve warning people ahead of time, they can go back and chronicle what happened post storm, and that's always a big thing as well. All right, so you guys enjoy your day. Whatever we can do to help out, please let us know. And we're going to hop down here for a little bit and hopefully enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon. Thanks again.